Let's go ahead and bring in our special guest. Again, the theme is people are losing their minds. His name is Ken McCarthy. You've seen him here before. He is the author of JFK and RFK's Secret Battle Against Zionist Extremism. Let's go ahead and bring him back in. Welcome back, Ken. What is going on?
Hey, Sabby, lots going on. And all my years of research into the various Kennedy assassinations has really prepared me to look at this particular case. So let's just jump in. First thing I want to say is I would have loved to just spend the weekend just chilling. But I watched video after video after video after video. And I'm just waiting for someone to start talking sense about this. So maybe I make sense, maybe I don't. We're going to find out. The first thing I want to say is about social media. I remember there was once a day when there was no social media. And that means people that were nasty and unhinged and crazy and said demented things, maybe they were mumbling to themselves or to a friend or two, and we never heard it. All right. We live in now a world where somebody can say something pure evil and a million people can hear it. So is it true that the world's lost its mind? Well, if you look at social media, it always looks like the world's lost its mind. But I believe that what social media does is emphasize the negative and bury the positive. So, this particular situation is somewhat sensitive because one side believes their hero was killed. Another side believes this guy, we don't like him anyway, was killed. All right. I think we need to put all that aside and get super clinical. And if we don't, we're gonna miss the plot. So that's my.
I agree with you. Before we get into that, I just want to show everyone this video really quickly. If you did not see this, a shout out to James Lee for this one, ladies and gents. Again, we're talking about the alleged shooter. This video here from James Lee, he is asking some questions, and I think people need to see this if they haven't seen it. So let's watch this. It's really quick.
I want to take a second to issue a retraction in regards to the alleged killer of Charlie Kirk. We are being told that it was not an Israeli conspiracy. It was, according to the FBI, the act of a lone gunman named Tyler Robinson, a deranged lone gunman who just happened to have not one, but two patsies in the crowd. We are also now being told that it was his father, Matt Robinson, now hailed as the father of justice, who turned his son into the authorities. In a press conference shortly thereafter, FBI Director Kash Patel proudly announced that the suspect was apprehended in record time, quote, in less than 36 hours, 33 to be precise. According to CNN, a family member told investigators that Robinson had, quote, become more political in recent years, and that the authorities had also discovered anti-fascist messages engraved on the ammunition. Prime Minister Netanyahu went on Fox News, though, to claim that Charlie Kirk was assassinated by a combination of, quote, radical Islamists and ultra-progressives. Now, in terms of the murder weapon, the FBI stated that they found the shooter's rifle in the woods, fully assembled. And here is Robinson caught on CCTV footage making that getaway from the rooftop with said rifle.
Yeah, and Ken, I want to let you pick it up from here. I just wanted to give people the lowdown really quick before I tell them what the news is today.
That's a really good clip. I saw it. He's on it. He's on it. So my first question is, there's that old joke. A woman walks in and her husband is in bed with another woman, and the husband looks at her and goes, "Who are you going to believe, me or your lying eyes?" And that seems to be what happens with every one of these things. We all have eyes. We all have common sense. And for some reason, we reflexively believe what's ever on TV. I do it too. I have to retune myself to see reality. It's a very powerful thing. So my first question, orientation, because I'm going to get into some heavy stuff here. And, I always challenge your listeners, as you know, with some stuff that seems out of the blue until someone looks into it and they're like, oh my God, he's right. Whenever has the original story been the real story? JFK? No. RFK? No. MLK? No. Malcolm X? No. 9/11? No. Vietnam War? No. The first story is almost, I've never seen a case where it was the real story. So let's just go with that. All right, who gets assassinated? And this it's a political thing, so we call it an assassination. It's just murder with a political tinge, right? Someone with a big following. If you have no following, they're probably going to leave you alone. Two, if you're going through a change or some kind of evolution. And 3, if that change is a huge challenge to a very powerful force. So let's go through our assassinations. And again, let's be clinical about this. I'm not comparing Charlie Kirk to any of these people. I'm just talking about the dynamic. So we have, let's talk about Martin Luther King. He was harassed constantly, but they let him be until what? Until he came out against the Vietnam War. And then it was time for him to go. How about Malcolm X? Nation of Islam, he was doing all kinds of stuff, saying all kinds of stuff. Everything was fine until he came back from Mecca and said, you know, it may not be the white people that are the devil. It may be the system that's the devil. You know, he had to go. Even John Lennon, and I'm a person that believes John Lennon was assassinated. I don't believe the cover story that this crazy dude just plugged him. We could have a whole show about that, but trust me on that one. Why would you kill John Lennon? Because he finally kicked his heroin habit. He had a big problem personally. He got over it, and now he was healthy and back in the world. And what do we know about John Lennon? He had a big mouth, and he was against war. And it was 1980, and they were gearing up for a whole bunch of new wars. Grenada, Panama, right? Iraq. They had to get that big following. That's the thing to keep in mind. If you have a big following and you become a danger to these folks, you are on your way out. All right, so we got that. Now let's look at this organization, Turning Point America? Is that what they call it?
Turning Point USA.
Turning Point USA. We need to know the history of this thing. And I'm really surprised. I'm watching the news. Maybe I missed it. I haven't heard anybody talk about this organization. It was founded when? 2012. Who founded it? Well, Charlie Kirk founded it, but there was another founder named Bill Montgomery. Okay. How old was Charlie Kirk when this got started? He was 18. Yeah. When did he start it? The day after he graduated from high school. All right, everybody sit back, think a little bit. Is it plausible that Charlie Kirk, is a spontaneous, natural creation? Okay, now he was obviously a talented speaker, a talented rhetorician, debater. He had star quality, no question, and he was showing it at 18. But how many 18-year-olds do you know who are to get something going? How many people know that he was Donald Trump Jr.'s right-hand man during the 2016 campaign? He was the assistant to Donald Trump Jr. for a whole year. Okay, how many people know the annual budget of Turning Point USA? Because he was just the tip of a very large iceberg. How about $80 million a year? How many employees do they have? 5, 10, 20? How about over 600? This was a big, big, big enterprise. And all these things you can confirm on the internet. You don't have to take my word for anything that I ever say. Yeah.
It sounds like you're alluding to that he was selected or he was chosen.
I would say, and that's $80 million, a lot of money to come in every year, and managing 600. He wasn't managing those 600 employees. He was the star. He's like, like you're the rock and roll guy or whatever. You're playing the lead guitar, and there's like the roadies, and there's the guy, your manager, and the guy that's doing the negotiations, and the people that are planning out the tour. I mean, it's an army behind him. All right. So he was the front man for something. And by the way, the traditional conservatives, at least back in pre-2020, did not like him because he was divisive. And they also felt he was fudging the numbers a little bit, claiming more members than he had, and so on and so forth. Now, in terms of, in addition to having his touring group, his show, and remember, it's one thing to have a podcast or a Facebook page and have 1 million followers or 10 million followers. When you can go city to city and bring out the kind of crowds that he brought out, that's power. And one of his organizations, one of the organizations with which he was affiliated, was a 501c4, which is not a PAC, and it's not they call it a nonprofit, but it's an organization that allows you to bring in money and use it to get out the vote. There is a legal designation to do that. Karl Rove had one of those things. Okay, so this thing was not, in addition, I mean, $80 million a year, pretty significant business. In addition to being a pretty significant business, by the way, all the revenue, donations. Okay, $5 here, $10 here, and lots of multi-million-dollar checks. From whom? We don't know. Because when you are contributing to a 501c4, you don't have to declare who you are.
That's what I was going to say.
There you
but
go.
obviously it's coming from people that have a lot of money to give.
Yeah, and who want to be anonymous. So, I mean, who knows who's been giving him money or giving the organization money? That's the key. That's the key. There's an organization behind all this. Now, they claim to have chapters on 3,500 high school and college campuses. So a chapter means they've got like a leader, and that leader's recruiting kids, and they're having weekly meetings. And when Charlie comes to town, they all run to Charlie and they all tune into the show. And it's like all political organizations, it's a bit of a cult. And it was a cult built around Charlie. Make sense so far?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm following.
Okay. Now, ProPublica looked into this cult, this organization. I mean, I don't want to disparage, it's just a group, right? And they found out that their finances were very sketchy. And one of the things you have to know about this group is again, their revenue comes from donors, and a quarter of their money is going to salaries. You've got 600 people on the payroll. That's a lot. And 60% or more goes to the travel expenses, the show expenses, and hats and printing and all that kind of stuff. Now, people that know about the world of politics know that there's a lot of money to be made in creating materials for campaigns. It is a cash cow, right? And the markups are huge and so on. So somebody somewhere, I don't know who it was siphoning off tens of millions of dollars every year in markups on printing and hats and t-shirts. So my point is, this was a huge enterprise. So let's move along from there. You have to excuse me because this is fresh information. All right. I don't know what that says. Okay. All right. Here's the problem with Charlie Kirk, and this is why he got hit. He was starting to ask some really uncomfortable questions. And I don't know if people have really dug deeply into his evolution in the last 6 months. But
we went over the article from the Gray Zone. We went over that yesterday. We did go over that part. So where he dived into that he rejected donations from Benjamin Netanyahu, and also that he did apparently speak to Trump about being against war with Iran. We went into those things that were in that Gray Zone article. Okay.
But he did things like invite Dave Smith onto his stage and let Dave Smith, am I giving the right name? There's so many names. Yeah. Okay. So, Dave Smith's not a pro Zionist, right? And right. He got on the main stage at one of their events and said, you people, you say you're pro-life, and yet you're letting babies getting killed in Gaza. He said that in front of that audience. And Charlie Kirk let him say it. And when people booed Dave Smith, Charlie Kirk said, stop, let him explain. And this, I know people don't like him, and I'm not a fan either way, one way. But when you look at the videos, he was starting to really talk about Israel a lot. And I'm drawing a blank on the guy. Who's the evil looking guy that wears the black yarmulke, the young guy?
Ben Shapiro.
Ben Shapiro. Doesn't he look evil? I mean, he looks like a cartoon villain. My understanding is people need to check this because some of this is fast. The day before he was killed, Kirk aired a segment with he and Shapiro. And he was asking Shapiro, hey, what's the deal? And you see Shapiro turning 10,000 different colors of rage as the question was being asked to him. So now here's the problem with Charlie Kirk, sorry. You're Israel. And we've talked about this before. What are Israel's strengths? One, it's got nuclear weapons. And two, it's allowed to bribe any congressman. And they've actually, think about this, folks. They've corrupted our entire Congress, except for maybe one or two people. Every single person in Washington, we know for a fact, is on the take for Israel. Therefore, we're not represented. We have a group of criminals posing as legislators in the US Congress. And that is the result of Israel and whoever else is able to shovel money at them. All right, so those are their two secret powers. But in terms of their political base, the most important political bases for them are Jewish Zionists. Okay, they've got them in the bag. They don't have to worry about the Jewish Zionists. They're not going anywhere. The big one, though, is the Christian Zionists. They cannot afford to lose the Christian Zionists. And Charlie Kirk was plugged in to the whole world of young, idealistic, enthusiastic, energetic, activist Christian folks who were told to love Israel, but like everybody else, were saying, wait a minute. And now Charlie Kirk is starting to repeatedly bring up the issue of maybe we need to ask some questions. The killers in Israel absolutely could not let this guy live, period. He had to go. Because if he turned that demographic, he already had 3,500 chapters, right? And it's not like he had 3,500 people that subscribed to his YouTube. He had 3,500 leaders on 3,500 different campuses, high school and college. And we've seen how the Zionists have lost their mind when people protest on college campuses. What were they going to do when 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 Christian campuses that had been in their pocket suddenly start asking questions? So this is why Charlie Kirk was killed. To me, there's no question. He was a grave threat to the future of Israel. So that's why he had to go. So now we have to ask, does that mean Israel did it? Well, to answer that question, we would have to actually do things correctly, like gather evidence, right? Put evidence in a case, in a trial, look at the evidence, have people discuss it and debate it. What's the likelihood of that happening? Likelihood is very, very close to zero. Now, here's the reality, and this is a sad reality. A woman gets killed, okay, is murdered. No one knows who did it. If she's married, they're going to talk to the husband, because unfortunately, statistically speaking, you're more likely, it's tragic to be married, but to be murdered by somebody you know than somebody you don't know, and somebody really close to you than somebody not really close to you. That's just a fact. So the cops are going to have to talk to the husband, right? Now, if the husband, it turns out, has a girlfriend on the side and has an apartment on the other side of town, and after the wife is dead, he and the girlfriend are in Puerto Vallarta drinking Mai Tais on the beach, collecting the insurance money. Oh, now we've got a suspect. So we know that Israel had to get rid of this guy. So is a suspect. Okay, and they need to be treated like a suspect. Of course, they never will be. But those of us who are intelligent and have eyes that can see know that Israel is a suspect. So no one should say or can say Israel did it, but we can say, oh, Israel's a suspect here, because boy, did they had survival motivation to get rid of him. This guy was possibly the worst that could happen to them would be for Charlie Kirk to really turn and say, you know what? I was raised a Christian. I'm in this Christian thing, and I'm looking at what's happening to these children, and I just can't go there anymore. And by the way, you don't think the Israelis were surveilling every breath that guy took? They not only know his public, and in public, he was outspoken. They know what he was saying to his wife in bed. And if he was saying, darling, I don't know what to do here, I bet they have that. I bet they had that. I bet they knew he was getting even closer than we knew. Now, you may not like him, and I get it. But the power play here is if he came out against Israel, it would be like a nuclear bomb going off for them. Make sense?
Yeah, it does. And I just want to say to everybody, I think it is different when you compare the three, right? Like, so if you were to look at Charlie Kirk, Candace Owens, and Ben Shapiro, all of them have a large following. But remember, when Candace was fired from the Daily Wire, a lot of people moved on with her, right? So she went and did her own thing, and she didn't seem like she lost any support, in my opinion, based on what I'm seeing. Like, she's growing very, very well. So there's that piece. But when you point out the numbers, this is what I was telling people. I think Charlie Kirk had an even more massive following, especially on the ground, because he was going to the colleges to speak to all these kids. So it's like having him turn, Like if he were to say, you know what, I can't support what Israel's doing anymore, that would be a big major blow. And we have that poll that shows that younger people are moving away from Israel. That's not just younger people on the left, that's younger people on the right too. So yeah, it's I get where you're coming from. I get you.
You know, one of the themes of his following is America First. And we have a video, and I'll send it to you. Maybe you can run it on another show sometime, where he actually brought chapter leaders together on a stage and asked them what they thought about Israel. And he let them say what they wanted to say. And he said some things about Israel that were not really complimentary. So yeah, having a ground game, you know, let's talk about, like in politics, for example, you can have the greatest ads in the world. You can be on TV all day, but if you don't have people getting out to vote, you're not going to win. Well, Charlie could get out the vote. In fact, he was instrumental, I would say, one of the instrumental factors in Trump winning, because he got out that youth vote. It's all hot air unless you have a ground game, and he had a massive ground game, which would have worked against the Zionists had he activated it on behalf of the women and children and men and being killed in Gaza, which he might have been on the verge of doing. And again, we only saw the stuff on the surface that he was saying in public, which was pretty strong given his position. We don't know what he was saying in private, but I guarantee the Zionists knew every word he was saying. All right, so let's go to the actual case itself. So what the Keystone Cops, right? It's just the Keystone Cops over and over again. They all should be wearing those big long hats and, you know, with a big badge. And I mean, it's just, they're just jokers. And then I'm watching all these YouTube, and they're bringing on, you know, former FBI agent. I'm like, did you guys ever do anything? Or did you just read things off of cereal books? All right. So the first thing is gunshot residue. All right. Remember when Oswald, I don't know if you, I'm into this stuff deep, but when the first thing they did after they arrested Oswald was they checked him for gunshot residue to see, because when you fire a gun, it shoots all this, you know, fine particulate and it sticks to you. Okay.
I was going to say, I learned that from the Murdaugh murders in South Carolina. That was one of the reasons why they were able to trace it back to the dad, because of the gun residue. But yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
So have you heard? Now, by the way, some of these things may have been reported. I've looked, I can't get an answer. And you know, why wouldn't they report that? Because if they could report it, wow, this is good. We've nailed this guy. He's got gunshot residue on his cheek. Now, when they arrested him, apparently he was wearing the same clothes he wore when he was at the rally. So it would be on his clothes, it would be on his skin. I mean, boys are like that. You know, they don't necessarily change their clothes every day. What else? Oh my goodness. Pardon me, because
and let me know when you want me to show the screen.
Okay, I hope it's there. Did they determine whether that gun that they found in the woods, which we're going to talk about the woods in Utah in a second, did they determine whether it had been fired or not? That would have been an easy thing to determine, and that would have been an easy thing to report. Have not heard about that. Now, maybe this has been reported. Again, this is breaking in a way. They talked about the source of the gun. I don't know. I kind of looked around. I didn't find any answers. Usually they tell you within a day, oh, this came from this shop, or it belonged to his grandfather or something. We don't know the source of the gun. Where's the bullet? There's got to be a bullet somewhere. And I don't want to get gruesome, but that size bullet going that speed should have gone through him. Might be stuck in him. But if it's stuck in him, they've got it. And if it went through him, they should have it. And you would think they would say, well, this kind of looks like a 30-08 bullet and whatever. But they haven't talked about that. What else haven't they talked about? Oh, the woods. So everybody should someday go to Google and look above this campus. This is the desert. The only woods are people that have planted trees together and watered them. There's no woods. Okay. And they haven't reported where exactly. They just said in the woods. There's actually some woods on the campus, but they're not really woods. They're just a bunch of trees that are been, put there. Small point, but it's important. Other weird thing, they found the gun, they say, and they say it was wrapped in a blanket. Okay. But the photograph they show us is the gun in a clean, sort of brand new gun. It looks like, guns come in cardboard boxes, just like everything else. And when you look at the actual picture, It's a gun in a cardboard box. Now, is that significant? I don't know. But why not take the picture? First of all, I don't understand why you would separate the gun from the blanket. I mean, that should have been taken as one unit, put in, because you're supposed to keep chain of custody from the event. You find it, and then you got to have a chain of custody all the way to the end. Now they're taking the blanket and they're putting the blanket somewhere, and the gun's going. That's not kosher. And also, it almost looks to me like they had to buy a gun. It was in the box. They opened the box and they took a picture of it.
Well,
I don't know. I mean, that's just speculation.
Well, one of the things that I want to add that I found kind of weird is that they said, okay, so the video that I saw that we showed earlier, he was coming off of allegedly, that was him coming off of the roof, but there was no rifle in hand, right?
Good.
But then I did learn that you can disassemble that rifle, and he could have disassembled it and put it in his book bag.
They've been fooling you. They've been fooling you. That rifle. I'm sorry to interrupt, but that rifle cannot be disassembled easily.
Well, even then, but if he did all that, then why would he put it back together and put it in the woods?
It's so right. It's so crazy. I mean, the first lie is that rifle requires screwdrivers. It requires minutes, not seconds. You need to know what you're doing. You need to have a steady hand to take that gun apart. So the idea that he took it apart, assembled it on the roof, fired, disassembled it, put it in his bag, reassembled it, put it in the, I mean, it's nuts beyond belief, right? And it goes to that, who are you going to believe, your me or your lying eyes, right? And because the media is so strong on all of us, you see it on the news, you assume it's true, but it can't be. This could not have happened. They also say, well, he stuck the rifle down his pants and that's why he was limping. You cannot. He was wearing t-shirt and jeans. You cannot stick a rifle. Now, if you're wearing big baggy clothes, maybe, but even then, nobody hides a rifle in their clothing. So that didn't happen. The other thing, this ammo is really weird. Could you do it by hand? I guess. They haven't really talked. They haven't shown us the pictures of the ammo, which is really weird. Also, the way this is done is with laser, okay? And the people that do this, there are companies that will engrave your bullets if you really want it. They won't engrave live rounds because it's too dangerous. They only engrave shells that have been fired off. Now, the weird thing, this is just a weird thing, that guy that I talked to you about, the other founder, he owned a company in Sarasota, Florida, or he was part of a company in Sarasota, which is spook heaven. It's a lot of CIA guys down there. They go to retire down there. He owned a company that did laser engraving. He's dead now. He's been dead 5 years. I know, it's just weird. It's a sidebar. But the main thing people have to know is no way, no how did this guy disassemble a rifle, assemble it on the roof, disassemble after a shot. So he can't have done it. So when you look at the problems with the case, which we've already discussed, notice that the prosecutor, typically when you have something like this goes down and they have their big announcement, the prosecutor comes out and they make theirs because they want to wave the flag. Hey, here I am, and make sure you elect me 2 years from now because I'm a big wheel. They love to be there. Prosecutor did not come out, was not even on the stage. What does that tell me? That prosecutor's a little worried about the quality of evidence here, because this all boils to the guy. Look, to shoot somebody, you have to have had a rifle in your hands. There's no evidence. Maybe he was on the roof. Maybe he did jump off the roof, but there's at no point. So let's show the picture where I think the shot really came from. Oh my God, that's the wrong picture. Okay. All right. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not real good at this technology stuff. Oh Lord. Okay. All right. I'm going to need your help, Sabby. You can.
Okay, yeah. It just goes with whatever you choose to share.
I know, no, but I don't have another picture. I'm not really good at this. Could you put that picture back up and we'll talk it through?
Okay.
All right. You see that circle? Do you see my mouse? No. You don't see my mouse moving around?
No.
No.
But I do see the circle.
Can your mouse go in there and move around?
No, because it's your screen that's being shared.
Oh, this is tragic. Okay.
It's okay.
All right, well, we'll do what we can with what we got. All right. Yeah. The circle is where the tent was. Okay. The square is where they say he was. Okay. So everyone following that? There's a dotted line in between. Here's the problem. One of the things they keep telling us over and over again is we're not going to show you the actual shot. It's too disturbing. Don't look at it. It's horrible. Well, if you want to know what happened, you need to see the shot. He was shot from the, he was shot on his right. He was shot, let's see, here. And he went this way. Okay, so, okay. Well, let me bring myself back just to get technology. Can you bring me back, and I'll show you the problem. For those of you that didn't see it, so we're reversed. All right, if he got shot front on, which is what they're saying, if I push you from the front, where are you going to go? You're going to go this way.
Back.
Yeah, you might go a little to one side or another. He went. I have to go reverse. He went fully like that. Okay, go look at the video. If you know, you can find it if you look. Okay, if he went fully like that, that means the shot came. That means the shot came from here, from the side. Now, Sabby, if you go back to the campus, in order to validate that he was that it was the guy on the roof that did the shot. Okay, this is the line. It's, oh gosh, I'm so sorry I don't have the right thing. But if you actually draw a straight line from the point of this pentagon where he was, it actually comes way out here. Okay, this is a serious angle, and it's angled to the wrong side. Okay, that's really what everybody needs to keep in mind. It's angled on the wrong side. So now here's the thing that you're not going to hear anywhere else. The better place to shoot him to get that result where he gets it in the neck on that side was this building. Okay, can you see? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not pointing. Okay, see that square?
Yeah.
See those trees? Jump across those trees. And you see, that's a big building. There's a gray surface, and then there's a tan surface. You see that?
Yeah.
Okay. That building is the tallest building on campus. And it's got a clear shot to the tent. And it's coming from the correct angle. Whereas the other place just is not the correct angle. And I spent all afternoon creating the angles to show you, but I didn't have somebody to help me with the tech side of uploading. But people will just have to visualize this. Now, here's the $1 million point. Guess what that building is? That building's under construction. Okay? If you look at the videos and the pictures of this event, there are people everywhere hanging off of every possible space. There is no way shooters close to him, anyone could have hit him close. And I'm looking at this, studying it, trying to figure out what the heck it is. Then I see this gray building. It's on the far right, and the gray with the tan. And I look it up. What's that building? What's an automotive science building? By the way, one of the 10 most important, believe it or not, you go to this school and you will get a job with GM, period. It's a very high level automotive technology school. They're rebuilding it. They just capped it. Cap means you've put on the very top structural element. So it's as tall as it's going to be. And there are probably some floors. And what do we know? There's probably going to be stacks of what? Building materials on those floors. Will there be any people in that building? No, because it's under construction. But what there will be is a place where someone could get a clean shot from the right elevation and hit it at the right angle. And I tell you, everybody, go look at how he was actually shot. You can find the video. There's no way he was shot from the front. No way, no how, impossible. The only other angle that makes sense is this empty building where you could hide as a sniper behind building materials. So anyway, that's just a thesis, but it makes a lot more sense than this crazy angle they're trying to sell us. And then,
so I thought when I watched the video, I thought it did come from the side. I didn't think it came from.
Oh, but they're selling us that it came head on. If you look at their reports and their news, because here's the deal: if you're going to be a sniper, you need a couple of things besides shooting. You need to be able to conceal yourself. You need to be able to create. It's good to be able to create distractions, and it's good to make it easy to get away. A real sniper, not this guy who was up there with no gun. Okay, so the distractions were right. The old man that they arrested. Remember? Did you see that? And then someone had an air gun. I mean, that was in the news and disappeared really fast. That was a distraction. I believe that the guy who's in jail currently was distraction number 2. They are telling us that the shot was head on, and the only way it could be head on is if it came from where that man was hanging out. Now, let's talk about Sirhan. Let's talk about even Lee Harvey Oswald. Let's talk about the guy that shot John Lennon. I'm drawing a blank on his name. And this is in my book, JFK and RFK's Secret Battle Against Zionist Extremism. I have a whole chapter on the RFK murder. You can't create a super soldier with MK Ultra, hypnosis, and drugging and all that. You can't do that. You can create patsies. Sirhan is a perfect example of a patsy. He showed up. He had a gun in his pocket with blanks, I'm almost certain. He started firing it, but the guy that actually killed Kennedy was standing right behind him. And we know that because the medical examiner said there were powder burns on his jacket, and the shot came from right behind his ear. You can't shoot somebody who's in front of you. You can't get shot from somebody who's in front of you behind the ear. It's just, you can't reach his arm around, right? So I believe this guy's probably, if the shot came from the building that I think it did, I believe this fellow who's in jail right now is just an MK Ultra type of person. I don't know what they call what they're doing these days now. He's a patsy. And then they keep talking about the internet. If you do any research at all, you will find out that using the internet is the greatest thing in the world for cults and people that are trying to scam people and people that are trying to, rope people in. It's the greatest tool ever invented. You can send out millions and millions of messages, find the 1 out of a million people who's vulnerable and grab them, and then hey, I need you to be here this day. I want you to climb up on the roof. As soon as he shoots, I want you to run down because, you create some wild and bizarre scenario for the guy, and he just goes and does it. The other thing is about Sirhan, and this kid may be the same. There are people, you can hypnotize them, and they will not remember why they did what they did. Sirhan, and I believe him, and many psychiatrists, including some of the top people in the world who've spent dozens of hours with him, believe that Sirhan, when he says he doesn't know where he was or what he did, all right? So all you would need to do is take some kid, rope him in via the internet, get him involved in some kind of, hypnosis program, and tell him, hey, go on that roof, run around, jump around, make a lot of noise, right? Run away, but let's take this back. Here's what we know without a doubt. You cannot assemble that particular rifle quickly. You cannot disassemble it quickly. You can't reassemble and you'll lose a screw for one thing. It's not like you just bend the thing and throw it in your backpack. That's mythology. In fact, if you want to verify that, the second screenshot that I gave, that I was able to upload, this is people talking about the collapsible bolt rifle thing. This dude, and this is the person. This was some weird security guy that claimed that you could fold up a rifle in 1 second. 440. There are a lot of people that know guns in this country. We may not know much. We may not know how to read, but there's a lot of people that know guns. 443 people up thumbed that the guy that said that was full of shit. Here's another guy saying, if this guy's a gun expert, I'm a rocket scientist. And by the way, no down thumbs, right? So we go back. So that's that. The main thing to realize is the first story is never the real story. It's never been the real story. When there's a high level thing like this, it's planned out really well. Part of it is to have a patsy. And the patsies can be manipulated via psychology. And
well, here's this is what you believe, right? This is what you believe.
This is a potential scenario. I do believe with all my being that a man that does not have a rifle cannot shoot anybody. And there's no evidence he ever had a rifle.
So this is what he is saying today. This is breaking news. Kirk suspect not cooperating with authorities, the governor has said. So listen to this. Charlie Kirk's alleged killer is not cooperating with authorities and has not confessed to carrying out the shooting. Suspect Tyler Robinson, 22, was taken into custody some 33 hours after Kirk, a 31-year-old right-wing activist, was shot dead in Orem on Wednesday. So just for people who don't understand this, when they say that they're not cooperating, it's in this case, it means that he's not admitting guilt here. He's not saying that he did it. So he still is not confessing to this crime. Now, what's really weird about this, though, just to add to this, he says he didn't do it. Remember, there's always two sides to a story, but his parents turned him in. His dad turned him in. That's how they got him. So when the FBI was saying we got him, it wasn't that they did all this investigative research and they found him. He was turned in by his father, who was also in law enforcement. But he is saying that he is not taking credit for this. He is not confessing.
His father's a weird guy because, what evidence does his father have that he did it?
I don't know.
And so we'd probably have to dig deep into his, but I bet part of the patsy finding process would be to find a father that would, is so law and order that he's just going to turn his own son in on no evidence. I mean, and basically what the media, and this is just shows to show you how under the thumb of the media we are. He saw his son on the news media and they said his son did the shooting. So from his limited mind, I better turn my son in because he's the guy that did it. He didn't think through, and maybe he's going to. He didn't think through, well, gee, they never showed my son with a rifle, and you can't take one of those rifles apart in 2 seconds. You need a table, you need screwdrivers, you need, if you have, you need light, you need all kinds of things. You're not going to do it. You're not going to do it lying prone on the ground.
Yeah, but what I think is important for people to just note is as of Sunday, today, by the time you guys see the clip, it'll be Monday. He is not confessing. He is not saying that he did this. And so I think that people really need to just take a step back. Doesn't mean that he's telling the truth. It doesn't mean that they're telling the truth. But the point is that there are two sides to a story. And I thought it was really interesting. The moment, first of all, the FBI and the media got this wrong from the get-go. They said they arrested the shooter and that guy wasn't even the shooter. And then they had to let that guy go. The older man that you were talking about, he wasn't the shooter. So then they had to let him go. Then they came up with all these other things, right? They've said all these different things about him, who the shooter is or who they thought that the shooter was. But at the end of the day, there are two sides to a story. And what I found to be very concerning is that everybody just jumped on board and said, just agreed with it and nodded their heads and go with the media, go with the FBI and say, oh, well, they said he did it, so this is the guy. Yeah.
Well, he's being held on what's that? Probable cause. They haven't given the formal charges yet. That's going to happen Tuesday. We'll see what happens. They need let's put it this way. They need a whole, let's say, Sabby, you were somewhere and there was an assassination and someone saw you running off a roof. They can't put you in jail because you ran off a roof unless they knew you had a gun. And if they videotaped you every step you took and you never had a gun in your hands. By the way, the other question is, this $80 million organization, they couldn't afford a drone to fly over this space to secure this kid.
Well, then there's other things too. The FBI said that there were messages in the Discord server where he was basically, he put messages on there saying that, oh, this is what I'm planning to do. But Discord released a public statement that said they located his account, but there were no messages on Discord that said such a thing. So that tells you, again, those messages, that if they're real or not, did not exist on Discord. So why did the FBI say that the messages were there and Discord is telling you they were not?
Yeah. And why don't they do simple things like, is there gunshot residue on him? Had the rifle been fired? Can we find any picture of him with this rifle ever? Et cetera, et cetera.
And these are just simple things. And I don't know the full story. I have my belief about what I think is happening here. But the reality is the fact that so many people just jumped on board with this scenario and didn't ask these simple questions. Are people, so all of a sudden Discord just doesn't even know what's on their own server? And by the way, Discord has been known before to remove people from their platform for their behavior outside of their platform. That has happened before. I've seen it happen to people. So there's that. But then there's this clip. I want to play this. So first of all, shout out to this damn squirrel. Z Squirrel is always on it. I never saw this clip before, but this was from 60 Minutes. from back in the day. I believe that is Leslie Stahl. I believe that's who that is. So she talked to Mossad or someone who was a part of the Mossad or whatever. Listen to this.
We have an incredible array of possibilities of creating foreign companies that have no way being traced back to Israel. Shell companies over shell companies who affect the supply chain to our favor. We create a pretend world. We are a global production company. We write the screenplay. We're the directors. We're the producers. We're the main actors. The world is our stage.
This is Mossad's old office. Its motto from Proverbs 24:6 says in so many words, wage war through deception and trickery, kind of like the CIA's smoke and mirrors, which is what this operation was all about.
So I wanted to play that for people because the thing is, again, we're talking about like intelligence, etc. I think, Ken, I think you have a point when you say that usually the first version of the story isn't the full story or isn't the true story. I think you're right. And you would think that we would have learned this from history over time. But I wanted to play that video because I want to prove a point. Like, intelligence doesn't just wake up one day and say, oh, yes, we did this. Netanyahu doing this press tour and telling people Israel had nothing to do with this. Did anybody not find that to be weird? You didn't see any other foreign leaders just show up on all these different channels and say, no, it wasn't us. So just put everything together. So what I'm saying is that conversation there with that guy and Leslie Stahl, what that tells you is he said, we write the script. We are the producers. We are the directors. Intelligence is very, very, very smart. So the fact that so many people were just willing to jump on board with the first story that the media gave you and not ask questions, we should know better by now. That is what I will say.
That's it. And it's a hall of mirrors. And remember, it was James Angleton that taught the Mossad. That's how the Mossad grew up. They were trained by the CIA. And the CIA were trained by the British, and they're experts at this. False flags, cutouts. You think they study magic not because they want to be magicians, but magic is the art of misdirection. It's not really the trick that you do; it's getting people to look left when you're doing something with your right hand, and
right.
That's what it's all about. And to me, this was a perfect example. They had the one set of distractions, and they had the guy running around on the thing. And nobody has talked about the fact that there was a high-level building that is under construction, which means nobody's in it, and there's a lot of building materials, and it would have been a much better place to take a shot from. And again, when you look at where this fellow was shot, he was not shot head-on, and that's what they're trying to sell us. It'll be very interesting to see what happens Tuesday when the district attorney comes in and tries to come up with charges. And maybe they'll have charges, but they don't really. I don't think they have enough on this guy. His dad said he did it. Well, there's some thing on Discord that said he did it, but now that's missing. He shot him with a rifle, but now the rifle, there was no evidence that he ever had the rifle. But the rifle reminds me of the passports that were found on the top of all the rubble of 9/11.
It's just crazy. I just hope you guys do your own research and look more into this, because I mean, if it were me and I'm just, again, if I were a detective and I'm looking at all this information, I'm just kind of like, okay, so what proves that he actually did it? Especially now that it is being released that he is not confessing to this. So people need to actually look at evidence and not just go with the narrative that is shoved in front of your face. And it could come out that he is guilty. But I think what has happened is that he's already been made guilty in the eye of public opinion without enough evidence. So something to think about. Ken, thank you so much for your time. Again, where can people follow your work?
Well, we have a website now that has my various books on it. It's called BrassCheckBooks.com. And that's where you can get the book, JFK and RFK's Secret Battle Against Zionist Extremism. You can get JFK Anti-Imperialist. There's a whole bunch of books there. So that's BrassCheckBooks.com.
All right. Thank you so much, Ken.
Thanks for having me.
All righty. Bye.
Bye.
I think we have a poll. Yeah, we have a poll. All righty. Thank you guys so much. Do you believe the narrative about Charlie Kirk's shooter? 6% said yes. 59% said hell no. 30% said I need more information. And 6% say I believe some of it. That is an interesting mix there. 2,378 votes. I told you we have a pretty diverse group here, ladies and gents. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.